Welcome back to Respoiled. Today, I have another captivating story to share with you. But before we dive in, if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss out on all of my latest uploads. Now let's get started. At a St. Petersburg University, math teacher Alexa falls for astrophysics instructor Maximilian when she discovers him nearly freezing while stargazing. They wed, and Alexa becomes pregnant with a daughter, whom Maximilian wants to name Jupiter, despite Alexa's objection. During a break-in, the thieves shoot Maximilian and flee with their possessions, leaving Alexa alone and despondent. Seeking solace, Alexa relocates to Chicago to stay with relatives, journeying to the USA while pregnant. En route, she gives birth to her daughter, whom she names Jupiter in honor of her late husband. Jupiter's aunt predicts her future greatness and true love as she grows. As an adult, Jupiter feels her life is dismal. Being the child of immigrants, her only job option is working as a cleaner for wealthy families. Adding to her burdens, she shares a small home with a large family, depriving her of any real privacy. Meanwhile, on a deserted planet in a distant corner of the galaxy, the three siblings of the influential House of Abrasax reunite after a prolonged separation. This planet, abandoned due to the family's practice of harvesting people from various civilizations to create a rejuvenating elixir, is now their meeting place. With their mother's recent passing, each sibling inherits planets, with Earth falling to the eldest, Balaam. However, the youngest, Titus, expresses interest in purchasing Earth. Kalik notes Earth's exorbitant price, leading Balaam to depart silently. The following day, a hunter named Cain arrives in Chicago's streets, attracting the attention of bounty hunters Razzo, Ibis, and Falk. Observing Cain's use of advanced technology, they deduce he is not native to Earth. Certain that Cain is pursuing the same target, the trio opts to tail him. Cain's intrusion leads him to a clinic, where he scrutinizes the profile of a patient named Catherine, utilizing his heightened sense of smell to gather clues. Upon exiting, Cain encounters the trio awaiting him, prompting him to activate his floating boots for a swift getaway. Despite the trio's attempts to halt him with gunfire, Cain evades capture after a brief exchange of shots, prompting Razzo to suggest notifying their employer, Balaam. Meanwhile, Kalik confers with her attendants, expressing her desire to join the hunt on Earth covertly, without her brother's knowledge. Simultaneously, Balaam instructs his associates to eliminate Catherine upon learning of a distinctive genoprint associated with her. Unbeknownst to Balaam, Catherine is a friend of Jupiter's, who is assisting her in selecting a dress. As Jupiter searches in the closet, she overhears Catherine's distressing scream. Upon investigation, Jupiter stumbles upon a cluster of gray aliens looming over Catherine's levitating form, prompting her to capture a photo with her phone. Just as she does, a call interrupts, drawing the aliens' attention, resulting in both humans being swiftly incapacitated. Moments later, they regain consciousness with no recollection of the incident. Later, during dinner with her family, Vasily assigns cleaning tasks to everyone, prompting Jupiter to inquire about borrowing money for a telescope reminiscent of her father's. However, Vasily insists she save on her own. In private, cousin Vladi persuades Jupiter to sell her eggs for cash, taking a share of the proceeds. The following day, Jupiter visits the clinic under Catherine's identity, idly scrolling through her phone, where she stumbles upon the image of the aliens she had taken. Before she can react, the doctor summons her to the surgery room. As the nurses prepare her, Jupiter senses something amiss and attempts to flee, only to find herself levitating involuntarily. It transpires that the entire staff are aliens, who confirm her unique genoprint upon DNA analysis. Initial confusion arose from mixed-up names. Intent on her demise, the aliens are interrupted by the arrival of Cain, who dispatches them with gunfire before rescuing Jupiter, who promptly loses consciousness. Meanwhile, aboard a spaceship, Titus learns that his tracker has located the girl and dispatches transport to retrieve her. Balaam, on the other hand, receives word of the clinic incident and urgently orders a bolstered security presence. 12 hours later, Jupiter awakens in an unfamiliar chamber, seizing Cain's firearm to demand explanations. Cain elaborates on the diverse forms of life scattered across the universe, citing his own heritage as a half-human, half-wolf bred for military purposes, an endeavor that ultimately failed. The Keepers, small gray creatures, seek to eliminate Jupiter due to her unique genetic makeup. To substantiate his claims, Cain exhibits a device that creates portals on walls in his levitating boots. In the midst of this, Titus's spaceship signals them, prompting Cain to hoist Jupiter and head towards it. However, Balaam's vessels arrive and destroy Titus's ship, causing the duo to plummet. Acting swiftly, Cain catches Jupiter before they soar away. A pursuit ensues across Chicago, with enemy ships firing at Cain, damaging buildings and vehicles in their path. Taking refuge under a bridge, Kane reveals a stolen shuttle concealed beneath, offering safety. Despite his skillful piloting, the shuttle sustains significant damage, forcing Kane and Jupiter to evacuate before it explodes. Fortunately, they land unharmed, courtesy of the boots. The following morning, Kane commandeers a vehicle, with Jupiter in tow, as she presses for further explanations. Kane details the conflict within the powerful Abrasax family, whose influence spans the universe. The family is swiftly reconstructing the areas ravaged by their battles, and the Keepers plan to erase memories, as they did with Juniper recently. All Kane knows is that Titus desires to bring Jupiter to his ship, while Balaam seeks her demise. Balaam, utilizing a hologram, scrutinizes the Keeper's memory of the clinic incident, expressing sentiments of longing towards Jupiter before issuing a stern warning to his guards. Later, Jupiter and Kane reach Stinger's residence, where they encounter Stinger, a former marshal for the Aegis, a space law enforcement team. Stinger attacks Kane, resistant to returning to his former life. However, the altercation halts abruptly when a swarm of bees surrounds Jupiter, mirroring her movements. Upon observing the bees' reaction, Stinger immediately kneels and addresses Jupiter as Your Majesty, as bees have the ability to recognize royalty. They are then welcomed inside, where Stinger promptly treats Kane's wounds using a spray while disclosing Kane's past possession of wings, lost due to a court-martial. While Jupiter receives a call from Vladi, Kane confides in Stinger, revealing his ignorance of Jupiter's royal status and Titus's promise of new wings as payment. Shortly after, Stinger informs them that he has reached out to the Aegis, who will retrieve them the following day. As Kane arms himself from Stinger's weapon collection, Stinger recounts Kane's court-martial for biting an elite individual, resulting in Stinger's dismissal as well. He also divulges to Jupiter that humans are not indigenous to Earth. Abrasax Industries exterminated the dinosaurs and populated the planet for future harvesting. Before Jupiter can inquire about harvesting, Kane alerts them to the presence of the trio of bounty hunters and numerous keepers outside. While Kane remains to fight with both firearms and hand-to-hand combat, Stinger escorts Jupiter, engaging in combat when surrounded. Despite their efforts, Falk manages to push Stinger back with a shockwave, but Jupiter's bee allies come to her defense. Attempting to evade capture, Jupiter flees to a cornfield, but Falk catches up and incapacitates her with another shockwave. As the Keepers close in to eliminate Jupiter, Razo and Ibis arrive, turning against Falk and dispatching him and the Keepers before escorting Jupiter onto their ship. Meanwhile, Kane defeats his adversaries and hastily exits the house, stealthily boarding the ship just in time. Several hours later, the hunter's vessel docks at an alien city, and Kane discreetly disembarks before attracting attention. The hunters proceed to sell Jupiter to Calyx associates, who offer superior compensation compared to Balaam. When Jupiter awakens, she discovers herself adorned in an elegant gown within an unfamiliar chamber. Calyx arrives and is astonished by Jupiter's striking resemblance to her deceased mother. To substantiate her claim, Calyx escorts Jupiter to a statue bearing an uncanny likeness, revealing Jupiter as the reincarnation of Calyx's late mother, who had met her demise at the age of 90,000 years. Meanwhile, as Kane infiltrates the mansion and relies on his heightened sense of smell to locate Jupiter, he encounters guards and engages them in combat throughout the corridors. Calyx leads Jupiter to a special pool containing rejuvenating water, which grants a youthful appearance despite Jupiter's true age of 14,004 years. Though Calyx indirectly alludes to the potion's origin, derived from harvested life forces, she refrains from explicit disclosure. She elaborates to Jupiter that her mother once owned Earth, and as her reincarnation, Jupiter can lay claim to the planet and partake in a life of opulence. Their conversation is interrupted by Kane's intervention as he endeavors to extricate Jupiter, yet Jupiter places her trust in Calyx and agrees to await the arrival of the Aegis. In the interim, Balaam executes the general responsible for the failed attempt to capture Jupiter and dispatches a new soldier named Gregan to pursue her. Shortly thereafter, Aegis Captain Singh arrives, accompanied by Stinger, and assures Jupiter of safe escort to the Commonwealth Ministry on Oris. Following a change into more casual attire, Kane checks on Jupiter, and they share a heartfelt moment of connection. Jupiter attempts to flirt with Kane, but he rejects her advances, citing their disparate social statuses. Eventually, the vessel reaches Oris, the ancestral home of humanity. Guided by an android, Jupiter navigates a labyrinth of bureaucratic offices and overwhelming paperwork, nearly insurmountable in its tedium. To expedite the process, the android resorts to bribery, securing Jupiter the royal seal on her wrist. Subsequently, Jupiter questions why Kane remains by her side now that the task is complete, prompting him to explain that Stinger believes their assistance may pave the way for reintegration into the Force. Regrettably, When Stinger arrives, he finds himself encircled by bounty hunters and, having struck a bargain with Titus, he betrays Cain. Shortly thereafter, Jupiter is whisked away to another spacecraft and encounters Titus, who proposes returning her to Earth if she agrees to dine with him. Meanwhile, Titus's guards imprison Cain. During the meal, Jupiter inquires about Cain's whereabouts, and Titus informs her he dispatched him back to his homeland. He further reveals Calic's deception and unveils the truth about the potion's origin, crafted from human lives. Displaying his cache of potion bottles, Titus claims his late mother sought to cease the harvesting, resulting in her demise. Titus maintains that he merely salvaged the bottles with the intent of fulfilling his mother's vision. While Jupiter considers his proposal for marriage to unite against his siblings, Stinger contacts Titus's guards to finalize their agreement. Following their conversation, it's revealed that Singh has apprehended Stinger, using him to trace the ship's location. Taken to see Titus, Cain confronts him about his deceit, but Titus justifies it as essential for survival. Revealing his sinister plan to marry Jupiter and then eliminate her to seize control of Earth, Titus sentences Cain to punishment by ejecting him into space. As he hurtles through the void, Cain kicks something on the wall, which turns out to be protective gear. Using his boots to break free from the handcuffs, he salvages the gear, though it has limited oxygen. With thoughts of Jupiter swirling in his mind, Cain resigns himself to his fate, but the timely arrival of the Aegis spares him. He implores the crew to rescue Jupiter and enlists Stinger's aid, who explains his betrayal was motivated by Titus's promise of a cure for his ailing daughter, reaffirming his allegiance to the Aegis. Back on Earth, Jupiter's family frets over her disappearance, blaming Vladi for her involvement with a dubious clinic. Suddenly, Gregan crashes in and captures them. Later, Jupiter expresses doubts about the wedding and requests to see Cain. Titus claims Cain left due to renewed violence and argues the wedding is a safeguard for the innocent. Despite Titus showing her a rite of pardon prepared for Cain, unused because of his betrayal, Jupiter trusts Titus and agrees to marry him. Clad in a splendid gown, she's escorted to the ceremony as Titus's fleet braces for an Aegis assault. While Cain and Stinger valiantly battle the attackers, Jupiter hesitates at the altar. Amidst the chaos, she tries to retract her hand as the sounds of the skirmish echo around her. Titus coerces her hand into place, but in bursts Cain, aiming his gun at Titus while revealing the truth to Jupiter. Though Cain desires Titus's demise, Jupiter merely pleads for him to take her away. The Aegis vessel whisks Jupiter off, affording her the opportunity to present Cain with the stolen pardon from Titus. Cain yearns for further connection, but Jupiter disavows any further involvement. Shortly after, they land on Earth, where Jupiter finds her home reduced to rubble. Gregan and Balaam's henchmen await, insisting Jupiter accompany them to renounce her title to spare her family. While Singh and Cain suspect a trap, Jupiter agrees to go. Gregan transports her away via spacecraft as Singh and Cain give pursuit aboard the Aegis vessel. However, as Gregan's craft breaches the portal, it seals shut, thwarting the office's pursuit. Singh hastily redirects their ship to evade a perilous storm. Surrounding Balaam's realm, the storm prompts Cain's hesitation, until Stinger delivers a poignant plea about his need for Jupiter. Eager for his own pack, Cain resolves to journey to the planet alone. Despite the storm's damage to his shuttle, he crash lands violently, impairing the gravity hull in the process. In Balaam's dominion, Jupiter confronts him, accusing him of matricide, prompting Balaam to strike her. Pressured by Balaam, Gregan nearly executes Alexa, relenting only when Jupiter agrees to sign the abdication to spare her mother. However, as she prepares to sign, she realizes Balaam's intent to harvest Earth and refuses to trade millions of lives for her family. Just then, Balaam's men report hull damage, and Cain breaches the palace, launching an assault on Gregan. Ensuring her family's safety, Jupiter shatters the abdication tablet, prompting Balaam to attempt her murder. Swiftly, she repels him with a kick. Enraged, Balaam commands his guards to eliminate Jupiter, but Cain intervenes, whisking her away by conjuring a portal beneath her. Safely concealed, Cain protects Jupiter as she kisses him before he returns to confront Gregan. Meanwhile, Jupiter relocates her family while the populace evacuates due to the compromised hull. With the blockage cleared, the Aegis maneuvers their ship closer. Seizing an opportunity, Balaam attacks Jupiter, but she retaliates with a gun provided by Cain, incapacitating him. As the palace crumbles from the damaged hull, an explosion ruptures the floor beneath Jupiter, sending her and Balaam plummeting. Cain is determined to save her, but Gregan insists on fighting him, using his tail to hurl Cain out of the building. Meanwhile, Jupiter and Balaam narrowly save themselves by clutching onto a broken railing. Freed from Gregan's grasp, Kane resumes the battle using his floating boots, eventually causing Gregan to crash to the ground by targeting his wings. With a well-placed portal, Kane dispatches Gregan. He then contacts the Aegis to provide his location for the rescue of Jupiter's family. Meanwhile, Jupiter navigates the crumbling building, nearly falling multiple times but managing to return to the palace after several perilous leaps. Balaam confronts her, striking her with a metal rod while referring to her as mother, confirming his role in his own mother's demise and justifying it by claiming she had requested it due to her dissatisfaction with life. Jupiter grabs the rod and fights back, but she refuses to take Balaam's life due to her principles. As the building collapses, Balaam plummets to his demise. Jupiter also falls, but Kane saves her and equips her with protective gear. With no time to spare, Sing opens a portal for her ship. Kane swiftly navigates through the debris and joins Jupiter through the portal. Soon, everyone safely returns to our solar system. Back to her normal routine, Jupiter surprises her family with a newfound positive outlook. To make amends for Vladi's involvement, they gift her the coveted telescope. After work, Jupiter has a date with Kane. Now equipped with her own floating boots and Kane's wings restored, they share a kiss before soaring through the skies together. Don't forget to like, subscribe and enable notifications for more content like this. Thank you for watching.